Kraven happens to be the last hurrah for Sony's Marvel Universe, which only can mean that what's the worst that could happen here? Nonetheless, I'm here to get into my review of the new film, Kraven, and let's get into the review of that right now. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel today for another review. And today we're going to be reviewing the new film Kraven the Hunter, coming to theaters December 13th. Yeah, well, folks, if you haven't heard the news, Kraven hunts for audience and Sony's Marvel Universe takes its last final bow for now. And that's just the headline that was from The Wrap that broke this news. But ultimately, the news that kind of came up additionally was that when it comes down to the Sony Marvel Universe, all projects are going to only be dealing with, or I don't want to say dealing with, will have an appearance of Spider-Man. So when it comes down to Morbius and Madam Web and Kraven and Venom, that's it for all of them. We're going back to what works, and that's Spider-Man. So you can obviously look forward to Spider-Man 4 and also the third Spider-Verse film. Obviously the films that are successful and makes them a lot of money, and also do pretty good ratings wise. But let's talk about Kraven here, because with this one, for me, regardless of the news, I didn't have any expectations. However, I have a major gripe with this film. And my gripe is that, considering the momentum of the Sony PlayStation video game Spider-Man 2, which featured Kraven, Venom, and Spider-Mans, I felt like there was an opportunity missed here, that whatever that story had involved before we knew, could have at some point had some involvement with the live action films, considering that the game and both Venom and Kraven film came out this year. I just felt like there was a missed opportunity, because we all knew Spider-Man 2 was going to be a great game, which obviously it being snubbed as game of the year is another conversation, but we all knew it was going to be good. And why not bring off of that sort of momentum to really drive interest into these films? So I really did not understand why there wasn't a better synergy amongst all of these, but I don't know. That's just one of my gripes. But definitely could have been something to really heighten the interest amongst the three properties, especially the live action films. But yeah, with Kraven, man, the other thing is just kind of like, it felt like at this point Sony was just making movies to make movies, because it's like, if there's not an end goal to somehow, some way have Spider-Man appear in these films, or they all really connect, or they all be within the same timeline, or even within the same years, because Madam Web, my God, I don't know what the plan was there, but like, if there was not going to be a plan of action for them all to not be involved, then what are we doing here? You know, we love universes. We love multiverses, of course. But certainly we just love that there's some type of continuity between these properties. You know what I mean? So there is that. Now, with this film, because, you know, we obviously here to review it, I got to say Kraven was definitely low expectation, but I'm not mad at it at all. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. It definitely had some great moments, very comedic moments. But of all the films that I mentioned, minus Spider-Man films, the Venoms, the Madam Webs and whatnot, I think it's a safe bet to say this is the best of them all. As a huge Venom fan, I wanted to love them so much. And although pretty much the target for those films were just to have fun, I thought this film definitely had, again, some comedic moments, some fun moments, some good action, completely brutal at times, but I thought a very solid third act. I thought the third act definitely was one that I would be interested in watching again. I also have a little bit of a hot take that it felt like a version of Home Alone, with a lot more gore and definitely made for adults. So, I really thought overall the film was not bad, not great, not bad, just very much in the middle. Now to kind of start off with the top of the film list in here, and like to talk about this film, it's nothing but Kraven's origin story, understanding the toxic relationship, abusive relationship he had with his dad, the camaraderie amongst the brothers, and then what led him to leave his home, and become the hunter, because once you're on Kraven's list, you never come off, and with that, that sent him hunting people. People that was essentially mirrors of his dad, or just were providing harm to the animal kingdom. So, there's that. He went out there and he targeted bad folks. But yeah, just to start the film, listen, the film definitely didn't start off on the best foot to me. I thought the CGI was just having a good old field day with it. Like, obviously there was so many moments where you were just like, yeah, that animal CGI, of course, right? Because why not? But like, I thought CGI has gotten so much better over the years that there should be times where you actually may think it may be real. But this one, you never thought that at all. And there was a lot of moments where you can tell they were clearly sitting in front of a green screen. Like, it's not even a question. It felt like the very early Marvel days, like the old, Sam Raimi Spider-Mans and the Blades and whatnot. It felt like that CGI. There's definitely an opening moment of Kraven bouncing around the walls where you're just like, yeah, this is giving, the Daredevil and all that, like just very, very, very high level of CGI, Unreal Engine type of graphics going on here. The plot, far from airtight. There's so many gaps in the plot that you're just kind of like, wait, what? And now I will also say, in terms of the audio, ADR had a major say in this. Like, there was moments where you're just like, I absolutely know they had to go back and do some ADR work here. So, what can I say? And I would even say once Kraven sort of discovered his abilities, it kind of reminded me of when Jacob in Twilight first started to discover his, when he ultimately became a wolf. There was definitely some parallels in terms of that. But when it comes down to it, the film was brutal and very graphic, especially when it dealt with the animals. And I did enjoy the brothers' relationship. I thought Aaron Taylor Johnson as Kraven and Fred Hutchinger, who's honestly having a pretty solid year as Demetrius' brother, I thought they worked very well together throughout the entirety of the film. I thought they were definitely high moments of the film where you're like, if they're together, there's probably be something good that comes from out of this. And then when it comes down to some of the scenes I really enjoyed, like, listen, somebody's nose got ripped off. I mean, it truly got, like, bit off. I wasn't expecting that. So there was definitely moments where you was kind of like, wait, what? So there was tons of jaw-dropping moments. And to kind of highlight some other ones, there was a moment where we first got introduced to Kraven's list, and he was behind the desk to sort of turn it around. And he was sitting there. That was a very good moment. I thought there was a moment where he went to the elevator with a knife. I thought that was pretty good. There was just a lot of really good moments in there. I would also say too, Easter eggs. They're all through there. Daily Bugle Easter egg, few of those. I mean, when it came down to the properties they had available, they very went heavy on the comic book characters that you may know. These are in the credits, so there's no spoiler here. But like, his brother being a chameleon, the Foreigner, which is a character I wasn't expecting, and I will say like their sort of version of the Foreigner was interesting. I think when it comes down to somebody who has hypnosis per se, it's always a measure of like how you're going to convey that, and his way of doing it, it makes sense, but it's also kind of like makes you feel like it's much more of a stronger ability than what it is. But that's no here nor there. It's like speedsters. Like all speedsters, you want them to have a look a certain way, but you wasn't about to have this guy looking like Professor X here. So, you know, they had their way of showing that, and I guess I'm cool with that. But it was an interesting character choice, and I wasn't mad at it at all. Another scene I really liked too was the perfume scene. I thought that was hilarious. And that was definitely one of the funnier moments of the film. But yeah, the action, it definitely has its moments. The third act I thought was pretty solid. Kind of reminded me of Spider-Man 2 when you have to do those stealth missions. There was definitely some good calls to that. I thought that with Rhino, and it was pretty much almost close to an hour within the movie that I forgot Rhino was in the film. I enjoyed Rhino's introduction. Thought the introduction was pretty dope. Tons of Easter eggs referencing New York because, of course, it's Kraven. You have to reference New York because at some point, you know, the hunt must go on. New York Spider-Man. You know, the Foreigner and the Call. And when you talk about the different the comic characters, the Foreigner, within the Easter, I'm not going to give any of the way, but there definitely was others, especially when you talk about Rhino's origins and so on. They pretty much went broke for whatever characters and reference they had available. They were going to use them all. But yeah, again, third act, just completely brutal. The adult version of Home Alone. Rhino's transformation, of all the CGI in the film, this one they nailed it. It looks great. It's probably the best live action Rhino that we've seen, and I'm not mad at it at all. I thought they did a great job in making that look as practical as possible. I don't know if I want to use the word practical, but like at least it wasn't an eyesore where you're just like, this just looks absurd. Like they made it look, you know, to me it was easy on the eyes. That's how I put, and I like the design. I'll say that. And I will say that I do wish, because there is a component of this story that involves Kraven's mother, and they also have this very menacing Russian child lullaby, and I was familiar with the lullaby from anybody who plays Dead by Daylight. It's the same lullaby that the Huntress use. So when I heard it, obviously that you know, you get a little bit of spine chill. The hairs on your arm were raised. I thought how they used that lullaby in this and how it involves the mother's story. I thought it was a supreme missed opportunity to really make that a lot more darker in the tone. I don't know why it never landed, because it's such a prominent part in terms of Kraven's biggest fear and some other stuff that is a reference towards Spider-Man is all I would say. But like, it's kind of like, it should have been a little more darker, if you ask me. It should have felt more. If it involves his fear, I think we all should have had a sense of either dread or some measure of atmospheric horror. But I thought it was just a missed opportunity there. And it's not like the film was afraid to go dark, because hell, all the gore and brutality did. So why not make this one little thing such, you know? But you know, listen, for a film that's a little over 2 hours, I'm not mad at this one. There is no after the credit anything, because this is the end. But I thought that it was a solid watch. I definitely didn't hate this. And as the Sony Marvel Universe, as I mentioned, from the Raps report, takes his final bow for now until Spider-Man. It's a solid outing. It's easily the best of all the other films that I mentioned, and I'm just not mad at it at all. And for all the actors, Russell Crowe did a great job. Aaron Taylor Johnson, who, you know, he did what he needed to do. Ariana DeBose, I wanted a little bit more from her. She looked great. Let's just stamp that right now. She looked great. Wanted a little bit more for her. Fred Hutchinger, I thought up and down the board, he's just had a great year, and he didn't disappoint in this. Across the board, I thought the cast, there really wasn't anybody that I was just kind of like, this isn't working for me. I thought everybody just did enough to keep you interested. And if anybody comes in here and they start talking about Aaron Taylor Johnson's accent in this, his Russian accent outside of his American accent, let's remember that he was raised in America and his family is of Russian descent, and he comes back and forth between the two, which is why, you hear the accent sort of flickers, because just because you're from somewhere doesn't mean you inherently have that accent. I don't need to go too much deeper in that, but just have a little bit of common sense there. So we're not going to make that an issue. But Kraven, I would go see it. I would totally go see it. It's going to be a very competitive month, but I would go see it. If you have the interest in going to do so, and this sounds like something you want to go see, I would totally go see it. So Kraven, December 13th in theaters, folks. Jump in the comments. Let me know your thoughts about this one once you check it out. And as always, stick around for more reviews and content here at Big Gold Belt Media very soon. Thank you for watching, folks.